This is entry 25 of Expedition Handheld. I'm Russ Crandall.
I'm your cool Uncle Marisa.
And I'm Adam Patrick Murray, and all of us will be your guests on this journey through handheld gaming discovery.
But be on your best behavior because we have a guest today.
Russ, it's not just the two of us. You're right. We do have a guest with us today. This is Your Cool Uncle Marisa. Wait, that's 4 names. How do you put that on your driver's license?
It takes some hassling, but I feel like that's anything at the DMV.
Right. Yeah, so Marisa, I found you, it feels like years ago on YouTube. Not that I found you. I started watching you on YouTube years ago, and I love your videos, all the stuff you do over there. It's kind of a smattering of technology, some gaming, handheld stuff, but also just general vibe and interest. Like, I feel like you're also somebody that, it's not ASMR, but you just have such a chill vibe about you that I could just listen to you all day.
I feel like that's big compliment in the presence of Russ, who is a known ASMR YouTuber.
Yes, no, but true. I mean, honestly, I will watch your videos, Marisa, to relax myself. You know, I can't listen to my own videos. You know, it's like, oh, it just stresses me out. You know, I'm like, oh, I could have done that better. But I love watching your videos, watched them for years. Especially, you know, I mostly tune into the handheld ones, obviously, because I kind of want to see your perspective, because it's always fresh and different and kind of outsider, you know, and I love that. And then also, you know, just sometimes like headphones and things like that too is always fun to watch too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I tried to describe your channel, but how would you describe your channel?
I always describe it as I just have started saying it's focused on retro tech and modding and adjacent. Because, I mean, I feel like in a perfect world, it would only be modding, but there's just not enough of that to be sustainable, because I also like the videos to provide some educational value, if that makes sense. So I don't want a video or a channel where every day I'm doing the same mod, like, because I think that would be ASMR at that point. It would be a repair channel. So there's got to be tangential stuff, and yeah, thankfully there's enough to fill that. And I feel like my audience is pretty specific in like their interests are very analog, offline, retro, and there's a lot of things that can end up fitting into that niche.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, I dig it. Can you walk me through the process of how you'd make videos? I feel like, you know, Russ and I, we both do it full time. Do you do this full time?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't think
maybe
so.
One day.
So yeah,
you're like, your upload schedule's so bad. You obviously don't do this full time.
No, I mean, I wish I could be a little bit more like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna focus over here, take the time that I need to, you know, and so I kind of envy that. But yeah, what is the process? You see something and you're like, you know what, I want to do a video on that, and then, like, how long does it take you to put stuff together? What's your filming like? All that kind of. I just like the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, timeline. It really depends, because it depends on what kind of video it is. So, for example, if it's a mod, a lot of that has to do with when I feel like actually doing it, and then I record the process, obviously, but I have to have the drive to do the mod. And then when it comes to things like reviews that are solicited, I tend to be like, I do things on my own schedule, leave me alone. But sometimes they're a bit a bit pushier maybe, and they won't even put a deadline, but they'll be emailing me every day, and it drives me nuts. And so that will make me do a review faster, but I feel like it's not as good as when I actually am able to spend some significant time with something. And that's also why I don't take deadlines, because I feel like if they're like, some people are like, oh, you have to do it within a week. And I'm like, I have no idea about the how sustainable this is, or how much of this is up to novelty, or how much of the issues with it are solvable within a week. So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also just trying to keep a, I don't want to accidentally turn into, and I feel like sometimes I've been very close to having this problem because reviews are more accessible than mods, of turning into a review channel. Because I don't want that to be what people think of. So I like try to space things out in terms of, in an ideal world, it would be Cool Uncle mods, Cool Uncle reviews, Cool Uncle's corner, Cool Uncle mods, Cool Uncle reviews. But it's not like a perfect world. So yeah, that's the scheduling part of it.
Are you working on multiple projects at a time? Like, or do you try to just put your heads down into one thing?
I think I do multiple at a time because, for example, if I'm modding something but I'm also reviewing something, there are things that can exist side by side. And so when I record my talking head parts, I usually try to do more than one at once.
Oh, really?
So that I don't have to get all made up and camera ready and set everything up, because I live in New York City in a 1-bedroom apartment. And so everything kind of needs to be able to break down, put it away. And so, to set everything up and then only put out one talking head feels like a waste. So I try to do multiple.
Well, how is it flying solo and being alone? Like going through this, navigating not only the production side of it, but then also you're reviewing stuff, and then you're having to get hardware interface with companies. Like obviously, I work for a major corporation. That's one thing. Like Russ is solo, but like I feel like he's got a team of people around him as well that help. But like you're doing your thing over in your apartment.
I think it would be nice. I was thinking about it this recently because I was like, it would be nice to have some sort of manager to tell me that, if I don't record like 2 videos this week, they'll give me a wedgie. Because I have trouble sometimes holding myself accountable, and I feel like I could be making more, but sometimes I'm just like, oh, I'm tired, or I'm doing something else, or but in terms of everything else, of editing, filming, things like that, I feel fine doing it all by myself, especially because I think I'm very type A and very micromanagey. So if someone else was editing my videos, I think that would actually make me more anxious.
That sounds like somebody I know. There might be somebody else on that call that's like that.
Yeah,
too.
I'm feeling hot under the collar right now. Yeah, I'm like full on.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah, I need control of it. Like it's weird. Like I don't know if it's for you, but like when I get my footage together, like my B-roll, A-roll, all that stuff, get it all together. And then I'm like driving home to edit it. I usually feel to myself that it's a disaster. I'm like, this is the last video I ever make, because this is the end of my channel after this comes out, But then it's the editing process where I finally put it together. I'm like, okay, it's acceptable, And so I can't imagine handing it out to someone else and be like, okay, you fix this, And so, I totally commiserate with that.
For me, I mean, because I've since I've started here, I've always worked as a team. So like the first part of it was I started off as a pure shooter editor. So I would shoot something and then hand it off to another editor because it was a scheduling kind of thing. And I'd be like, oh man, I missed focus on that. Like, oh man, the editor's gonna have such a hard time putting that together. And then it compounded when I started doing stuff in front of the camera. And then you really got to bear all, because you're just like, that line right there, it took me like 20 reads, and you're just gonna have to you're gonna see all those. Oh man, you're sorry man, you're gonna see all those. It is not fun. So I totally get it. But listen, before we get into it, because we are going to talk about mods, a little bit of news, a little bit of stuff we've been working on like usual. I do want to get a little bit of a vibe check from you, Marisa, and ask you a couple very specific questions. Number one, What are some of your favorite handheld games of all time?
I've never played a game. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, cool. Let's wrap it up here. We're done. I'm just kidding.
So I played a lot of Pokemon Leaf Green and Sapphire growing up. Pokemon Sapphire was my first one, so when I found out about the infamous IGN review of Too Much Water, I was like, that's really funny because ever since like Pokemon Sapphire, every Pokemon game I've played, I'm like, there's just not enough water in this. And then, but yeah, that has great replay value for me because of the memories. And since my rediscovery of the Game Boy line, I've become very, very obsessed with Mr. Driller and and Bomberman. They're just really nice pick up and play. But I feel like when I think of handheld these days, I think a lot of things with replay value. But outside of replay value, I played Phantom Hourglass a lot as a kid on DS. And yeah, I mean there's a lot to pick from. And I feel like favorite it always throws me off because I'm like, does favorite mean replay value? Does it mean it impacted you the most? What does it mean?
I mean, for our purposes, I think just a jumping off point, right? I mean, if anything, it showed me that you kind of think about it in ways of replay value, because I feel like handheld gaming at its best is something you can kind of pick up in small chunks. It's not like a big game that you got to get immersed in. I mean, sometimes it can, but yeah, a good handheld game in my mind usually is something that is highly replayable and you can do in short bursts. So. All right. Well, what about favorite handheld of all time? If you had to pick one handheld and you got stuck on an island, not Hawaii, because you could do other stuff there, some other island, and you could only bring one handheld for the rest of time, what would it be?
Does it have internet access?
No.
No.
But you can load up all the games you want beforehand.
I think Game Boy Advance probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of getting those vibes just from the games you were mentioning. I'm like, oh, she sounds like, very Game Boy Advance oriented, which is cool. All good.
I mean, it totally was one of the best libraries ever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it was such a sweet spot with graphics as well.
Yeah. The height of 2D, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we move on, I do need to give a little bit of check-in from the charity event that happened last Saturday. We talked about it a little bit on the podcast. We even shadow dropped the podcast last week on a Friday instead of a Saturday because we recorded on Wednesday talking about the charity event. And then I realized after I started editing, I was like, wait, we released this on Saturday. So by the time it's up, the charity event has already been going on. So that's a bummer. So I'm just going to release it on a Friday. So now we're releasing the podcast on Fridays. Surprise. From now on. But yeah, so Marisa, there was a friend and coworker of mine who passed away. He's a mentor, a big major person in this industry. His name was Gordon Maung, and he passed away almost 2 years now. And since then, I've been always wanting to put it together like a charity event in honor of his name. And so, yeah, we had a bunch of old PC hardware around here at his house. And I was like, why don't we go down to the Bay Area Electronics Flea Market, set up a booth, sell all of this stuff for charity. And yeah, we did it last month, and it was kind of like a little bit of a rough start. I mean, we sold a lot of stuff. We made some good money for charity, but this month we went whole hog. We had a lot of hardware that we got in. Not only that, some people sent us hardware, including Russ. So he sent a care package that we sent there, and yeah, all in all, we ended up day of. Let me find the number. I sent it over to you, Russ. We rose $13,157.49 for charity. It's a local nonprofit called Tech Exchange that helps underprivileged families get access to technology for work and school and stuff. So, yeah, that was a huge number. My stretch goal was like 10K. I thought we'd do like 8, and I was like, yeah, 10K would be great. So it felt so good to like count it all up afterward and be like, whoa, that's awesome. And then so last month we made like 4,500 ish, somewhere around there. So, and then since then, we actually sold a couple more pieces. So I think we're pretty much going to hit $20,000.
That's amazing, man.
And
that's so cool.
No, it felt so cool, and like just meeting everybody who came down too. There was a lot of people who enjoy the podcast. A lot of people who were asking me about Russ. Is like, hey, what is it like to know Russ? And I was like, Russ is such a cool guy.
You just said, oh, he's really short.
Yeah, he's just really short. I don't know what it's hard to see him. I just look right over him. No. We did have some people, come up and be like, hey, Russ sent over some hardware. Where is that? Pretty much everything's sold. So it was a good time. Thank you everybody for coming out and saying hi. But yeah, I did make a joke more than once when somebody brought up a piece of hardware that you had sent Russ, and I was like, oh yeah, that box right there, that smells like Hawaii. You should try smelling it. They didn't
like
smell
it.
Yeah. But yeah, so Russ, I got to ask you, because you, I mean, hopefully you remember the stuff that you sent over, but what do you think was the very first thing that sold at 6 a.m. in the morning?
Oh, 6 in the morning.
I mean, because that's when it started.
Yeah, I had a little bit of insight because somebody commented and said they tried to get something and it wasn't there, so they got something else. Mm-hmm. So my guess is going to be what they said, what they thought they were going to get, which was the RG Rotate.
You're right. Yeah, the RG Rotate was the first thing to go, and the person who bought it. It was Steve Lynn from...
Oh, really?
Who's been on the show before? Yeah, he messaged me beforehand. He's like, "Hey, listen, how much for that RG Rotate?" And I told him, and he's like, "Yeah, set that aside for me. I'm on my way over." So
yeah, the person who said that they wanted to get that, they said they ended up buying a controller, like an Anbernic controller instead, and so
okay,
it was super cool. They still got something.
Yeah, and then so there were two things that didn't get sold from your box. Can you guess what those were, Russ?
I would say probably one of the 8-bit DOE controllers, like the because there was 2 special edition ones that I sent. Because they do a new one every year. It's like Year of the Horse, Year of the Rooster, that kind of thing, based on the Chinese zodiac. And so they've sent me those for years, and I think I may have even paid for one, but they're kind of terrible. And so I sent 2 of them over to you from the past 2 years. And so I'm assuming that those are not big hits, because I've tried to sell those at garage sales or give them away, and no one wants them.
Yeah, you're right.
I just looked it up and I was like, oh, I expected something cooler.
Yeah, those did not sell. I mean, it's hard because I did look on eBay, and I was just like, oh, these are listed on eBay for like $130. I mean, because they're limited edition kind of thing. So sure. I can't remember. I think I ended up putting the price at like $50. And the other hard part for me too, I talk about this a little bit on Full Nerd, but like, when somebody came up to me and they're like, oh, hey, what about this controller? And, I was like, oh, yeah, really cool limited edition Russ from Retro Game Core. Touch the box. It's got to be worth something. But I was like, just to let you know, the controller is not a great controller. Right. So I'm not a good salesperson, but I wanted to be honest and just be like, I got to tell you. So
the background of those is that they made the first one, I think in their first year that they were a company. And then from there, they just changed the skins. But they got so much better in making controllers over the years, but they never changed that one. I think they made a couple component changes, but nothing big. And so I think that they were stuck between, sticking with the thing that they were doing. They did this for 10 years, or do we update it and give it a refresh? And they ended up, they released the one this year or maybe last year, and they were like, this is the last one we're ever doing. Like, they're giving up on it. So... Yeah.
Well, probably because they don't want to make it anymore, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a pain. Yeah.
And then you had told me offline, you were like, hey, I think you're probably going to hold on to a couple of these handhelds that I put in there. I did keep one. Can you guess which one it was?
I'm going to guess that it's the pink GKD Pixel 2 that I sent over. Like this little guy, the pink one had all sorts of cat things on it. And I was like, oh, maybe he likes the cat thing.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, it had like paw prints and stuff. So obviously that's not the one you picked. But yeah, so that was like a limited edition cutesy one that came out. I don't know. Someone sent it to me. Like, it wasn't the company themselves. And I was like, I'm not reviewing this. I think I maybe took a picture on Twitter. I'm like, hey, look at this. They got a pink one.
Oh, dang it. Okay, because the box didn't have anything cat related.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's just the regular box.
Marissa, I know you're a cat person too. So I think that would. Yeah, so I didn't open it up. So, oh man, I totally would have kept that.
It even has its own like cat theme, like in the software when you turn it on. Yeah,
okay.
Like a little meow.
It went to a good home.
Prints that
It went
go
to a good
across
home
the
for
screen.
charity. No, the thing that I held on to is the RG the 34XX.
Oh, really? The Game Boy Advance looking one.
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
I've been in Game Boy
Yeah.
Advance, like, oh man, and I was like, I started playing with it a little bit, and in case the Conquer Pocket Advance doesn't work out, I was like, okay, well, I want to try this.
There you go.
Which reminds me, Marissa, I got to ask you, obviously you're a big GBA fan. Do you prefer the wide GBA or do you prefer the clamshell SP?
Or the micro.
No, I hate the mic. I have history with the micro.
Oh, okay.
I've shared it before in my videos, but it's like it made my list of consoles I own and I don't like. But I'd say the original one. I think I played I always say the SP was the one console my mother willingly bought me, and that's because I already had poor vision and she didn't like that it was getting poorer. So she bought me an SP, and so that's what I played mostly on. But since now we have all these mods, Game Boy Advance with the ITA screen mod, I'm like, ah, yes. Horizontal just feels right.
Yeah, you're right. Man, it finally feels so good to have somebody on the podcast that's right about this GBA form factor. Man, it's just taken us 25 episodes. But
I think it's funny that like people like a lot of men have larger hands typically, and it's mostly a male dominated field, but then they like verticals. And I'm like, but aren't your hands more cramped on a vertical than they would be on a horizontal? I don't know. Is it because of the Game Boy nostalgia?
For me, it's just the fact that it's clamshell. Like I love just clamshells, close them up. I'm not a fan of verticals. Like I like the Game Boy style ones. I'm always like, I would much rather have horizontal. But for me, the GBA, the original, it's such a weird shape. And I never had one when I had smaller hands. And so for me, it's like, it's not made for me is kind of the way it feels. For you guys, it's like, oh, it's back like I'm 12 again or whatever. But I don't have that feeling.
That's valid. Yeah, I love the DS clamshells, not the original one. That's still weird, but like DSi, 3DS, horizontal clamshells.
Totally.
Good stuff. But anyway, thanks again, everybody who showed up to the flea market and everybody who stopped by and said hi. It was a really good time. But you know what else is a good time? It's talking about news. We don't have a ton of news, but we do have one major hit that we should probably talk about for a bit. Is that SteamOS support continues to grow. I have a link to an article over the fine folks over at Retro Handhelds talking about how SteamOS Beta 3.8.25 brings support for more devices. And I was surprised to see on that list that we have some devices like the Conquer Pocket Fit and the iNeo Pocket S2. And I did a little bit of a take, and I was like, oh, wow, okay. So SteamOS is definitely making some inroads in ARM then, if they're going to target that kind of stuff.
Well, it makes sense for those in particular because that's the exact same chipset that's going in the Steam frame. And so it's like they must just be kind of converting over. But what was surprising to me was that somebody at Valve had those devices. You know what I mean? Like they were able to add the support in, or maybe they got a pull in, from somebody else who owns it, But still, that was the really interesting thing for me. It's like such small scale devices compared to the Steam Deck and the demand for the Steam frame coming up. And so I was like, wow, it's really interesting that they are by name saying the words Conquer, like Konkr, in a Steam note. I was like, this is a weird mix of worlds.
Yeah, Marissa, like I don't know how you feel about the Steam Deck or the Steam Machine currently, but yeah, the hardware is one thing, but the fact that they're literally getting into making their own OS and like seems to be rapidly evolving is just, to me, is mind-boggling. Do you have any thoughts on running SteamOS on any of these handhelds?
Not like specifically on the handhelds, but I do think it's cool that I think just in general, things being shared across platform, open source, all of those things are things that are up my alley. I have a Steam Deck. I wish it was smaller. I wish they'd make a smaller Steam Deck. They're not going to. But when I use it, my hands fall asleep.
I don't know though. We've talked about this a little bit. I still think that the Steam Deck 2 or whatever that there's still some opening to make a Steam Deck Mini that is ARM based. You know, maybe around the Steam Frame processor. So maybe you will get your wish. You know, that a smaller device will come out.
Look at it during the RAM crisis, and it'll be $1,000.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, there's definitely an appetite for it, because when I think I mentioned it previously when we got back from when I got back from China, but like when I sat down with Asus, I had brought one of my ARM-based handhelds. It was the Odin 3, and I was like, check this thing out, right? And I was like, this thing can play PC games too. And I was explaining ARM and loading and stuff, and they were like taking notes. They're like, you know, so we don't have to spend all this money to make a handheld. I'm like, no, you can make an ARM one. So yeah, I'm hoping that, you know, something like that will catch on with one of these companies, hopefully Valve, but maybe someone else too. That would be great. Just a small, pocketable, efficient little handheld PC to be able to play, you know, just your lightweight games on it. I think that'd be great.
How much do you mess around in SteamOS, like at modding and stuff like that on your Steam Deck, Marisa?
Me, not much. No, I think one thing I say a lot in any of my emulator review videos is I like things that are direct and at home. So with like the Steam Deck, you know, the operating system's there, your library's there. The most I've done is just link it to other shops so I can play like Epic Game Store, itch.io games and stuff. But yeah, so my caveat though is I want it to be smaller, but I want it to be just as powerful, because otherwise then it could get something smaller and weaker and just load up games on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be smaller, but and just the same amount of power, but in a different way. Once again, like, you know, right. Instead of x86, maybe it's ARM, and technically around the same power envelope, but just different. You know,
let's do it.
I don't know. Yeah. Do you have any interest in the Steam machine, or because you didn't get one in, right? Or you didn't buy one? Yeah.
Do you like I don't have money. I think it would have been a good idea before the RAM crisis.
Right.
Yeah.
So fair. Yeah.
I have a PC.
Okay. It's so unexciting nowadays.
Have you tried loading SteamOS up on your PC or any sort of Linux variant?
No, I haven't. It's still on Windows 10.
Classic.
Yeah, but I just don't want to mess anything up with like DaVinci and stuff. And my Adobe Photoshop CS6 that I've been using since college.
Hold on to that one. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. No, I totally get that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's a groundswell of people trying to test out Linux and get more excited about that stuff because of all the stuff that Microsoft has been getting into. Do you feel like you've known a lot of people who have been experimenting with Linux in general?
Yeah. So I think my community, at least like the more active side of it, are definitely the type of people who have already been using Linux. So in terms of what I've seen, it's just people trying to help each other out with that. I do have Linux running on a mini PC. That's just where my Jellyfin stuff is. So I'm aware of it and its quirks and stuff, but for the moment, I'm gonna wait till they completely kneecap Windows 10, and then I'll figure out what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think you got a little bit of time. Yeah. I think the RAM crisis has bought you a little bit of time too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, there's more non-Valve devices that are on this list. We didn't mention the more support for the Claw and the One X player, both the Claw and the EX variant, One X player, Apex. I mean, there's some interesting patch notes in there. I mean, I think what I want to end on this is something I've been saying for a while, is that I still don't fully believe that Valve wants to be an OS company. Like, maintaining a Linux distro takes a lot of work.
Right.
And what are you going to get out of it what are you going to get out of it, right? Like, I mean, for them, I think obviously the end goal is to get out of it more people buying games on Steam, but that means SteamOS is probably always going to just be focused on gaming devices, and I feel like there's still a lot of people who want to get away from Windows gaming and work. And so, like, I don't see SteamOS ever being maybe that good in between ground. That maybe if you have a standalone device that just does gaming, okay, cool, SteamOS might fit that bill. But like when I'm looking to transition my whole work setup over to Linux, I am not gonna be looking at SteamOS. Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can have your cake and eat it too on that end. But I just feel like Valve is, even if they do want to be a distro maintainer, they're just going to have their heads down in the sand for gaming specific.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm surprised they keep adding support to new stuff, because there's always that phrase like, Valve does nothing and still wins. And it's like this kind of like they don't have to add SteamOS support to any of these devices because people will just install Bazite or something else, which then also goes right into SteamOS like. And so they're buying their games on Steam no matter what. And so it is surprising to me that they are making these moves that are consumer friendly, and I appreciate that and stuff. But it's interesting. I mean, in addition to this, they just released news today that they updated the Steam controller in the beta channel to now have just regular HID like support for the controller, so you can play Game Pass games and stuff. You don't have to have Steam running to play, like, so it just works like a regular controller, right?
Wow.
Which for years people have been like, no, the Steam controller doesn't do that. They built Steam Input, but now they're like, what, fine. You can use this anywhere, Again, very pro-consumer, very cool, but not a necessary thing. So I like that they are doing these little things here just to kind of expand their platform a little bit more. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna use the beta release on my Steam controller, try it out later on today.
Nice. Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, not a huge news week, and also I want to get to our main topic. But before we do that, we should pause for a quick ad break. So we are back to talk about modding. Marisa, that is your lane. Like you know how to mod. Russ is scared of modding. I break things really easily, so like I like the idea of modding. Actually, Steve Lynn gave me like a modding practice kit. I'm sorry, a soldering practice kit because I want to get better at it. But when I watch your modding videos, I just think, man, she just seems such in her element. She just seems so chill, like, so I guess I want to know, how did you get to where you're at today? Were you soldering stuff and like repairing things when you were a little kid, or what?
I mean, I've always liked putting stuff together. So like I used to love putting IKEA furniture together. My mom would tell me that I tried to put my own crib together.
Dang, okay. That would be hilarious. Make a video about
that. But no, the soldering was... it's funny, I think I got a soldering iron before I got into modding because I had ordered a Nohon, which is these solar-powered nodding toys. And they were very popular when I was younger, and they were in they sold them at oh my god, I'm blanking on the name, but it's a big toy store in London, and so I would just go there and buy them, and then I would buy knockoffs of them, and I had this whole shelf of solar toys. And then I was getting nostalgic about it, so I ordered one off Mercari, and at the time we had a NBA aspiring postman who would throw things. Oh. And so the Nohon broke, so I found a video on how it's like put together. And I guess it's like a copper wire basically is connecting the sensor to the head. And this little British man on YouTube fixes them. And he was saying that you just solder it together. And so I got a really shitty Chinese soldering iron off Amazon for like $10. And I did not succeed. But that was my first soldering attempt. It had nothing to do with Game Boys.
Okay. And I mean, even though it didn't end up working, it didn't steer you away. You felt like you just needed to get better at it, or?
I mean, once I got into modding electronics, I also got into a place where I learned that, to solder, you need good solder that's leaded and has a rosin core. You need flux, and you need a good soldering iron, and not one that's under $10, which a good soldering iron can be had for like $50-ish, so it's nothing crazy. But yeah, so, and I've had experience with the cheap tools, not with not I've had experience with cheap tools destroying the outcome that you are seeking. So I wasn't too turned off by it. I was just like, it's another instance of misguided frugality.
Actually, that's a really good tip, though. It's like, hey, if you're gonna get into it, make sure you have the right tools, like to set yourself up for success, right? Do you have anything specific that you try to recommend people, like a soldering iron specifically, or?
Yeah, I have a toolbox video actually on my channel, but the soldering iron I use is the pine sil soldering iron. And before that, I used a Miniware soldering iron because at the time the Miniware one was like the standard. And both of these are pencil sized and run off USB-C. Well, the newer Miniware does. The older Miniware ran off a barrel jack. But anyway, they're really small and they're powerful enough for what you're doing when you are just soldering a couple of pieces of wire in a Game Boy for a new display. And things like good quality flux and solder and stuff are just so cheap. You just need to make sure, that you get them and you don't forget them.
Well, like where do you think somebody should start in terms of like a mod? And not just soldering, but even, if they're looking to do game consoles, handhelds, whatever, like, is there a project that you like to point to people and be like, oh, you know what, that's always a good beginner one?
Yeah, I think that if you're super, super scared, changing the buttons on a Game Boy, and by Game Boy, I mean Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance, changing the buttons on those, just because that will get you inside it and it will get you understanding where things are, how things go into places, and just sort of how to navigate it. And then once you're confident enough for soldering, I would say the changing the screen is the best thing to do, because all you need to do is solder like 1 dot, 1 dot, 1 dot, 1 dot, and it's pretty straightforward. It's not impossible to mess up. Sometimes I want to say it's impossible to mess up, and then I see the things people do on Reddit. But it's challenging to mess up. So I would say that would be a good first experience with soldering. And if you really are scared or you want something more guided, kind of, Adam, like what you said, like a kit can be helpful, but it really depends also, I think, on your background, because I think that I've always been doing some sort of fine craft or another. So my fine motor skills are developed. But there are people who they've never worked with anything on a small, miniature scale. Mm-hmm. And so I think maybe if you've never done something on a smaller scale, it can be helpful to get a practice kit or something. If you have any sort of, even if you have any sort of tremors or shaking, that is maybe more, that's more sporadic, where you're like, I think I could do it, I just need to know, then a practice kit can help. It really depends on, it's very similar to, I think, art, than I don't know, than necessarily like if you've put a PC together, I don't think that necessarily translates as well as to have you made a miniature clay figurine.
Wow. Well, you haven't seen my PC builds, I guess. They're works of art. Yeah.
Are you making little?
I'm kidding.
Little Raspberry Pi.
I'm kidding.
Dollhouse PC.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's hard because, especially when we talk about these handheld gaming consoles right now in the state of things, the prices are sky high thanks to everyone trying to collect stuff. People's expendable money is at an all-time low. And so I think one of the things that might scare a lot of people off is like, oh, hey, sweet, I saved up to buy this GBA from my past, and I'm very excited about it. But, oh, wow, this thing didn't have a backlight. This is really hard to use, but I do want to update it, and so they don't want to ruin it. Like, how do you help somebody get past the fear of that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think you make a fantastic point. And I agree, because also, for example, for me, one of the hardest ones are the DS line, because there's just so much going on, and the ribbon cables. And my new 3DS, which there's not a lot of like aftermarket parts for the new 3DS. There's not a lot of like information about the new 3DS, because if you look at the numbers, very few of them were produced and very few of them were sold, which I think is insane, because I think it's like the best 3DS size and everything. Anyway, the metal part of mine in the top lid is slightly bent, and I only know that because it just like, instead of closing like this, it's like a bit like this, and it's just a purely aesthetic issue. And I finally found some random Chinese guy on YouTube who shows you how to fix it, but I'm so scared because I feel like if anything happens to it, I can't get aftermarket parts. New 3DSs are going for like $400 now, which is absolutely insane. So yes, that is very valid. And I think in that case, I think following your instinct, doing a practice kit, if you open up some electronics, because I feel like once you open up like a couple of electronics, you start to get an understanding. So you're like, you open the back shell, you have usually some sort of motherboard. Maybe you have like a heat sink, and then like usually there's a ribbon going to the display, and then like you're like, oh, what are membranes? Even I make mistakes. Like I was fixing a PSP at once and ended up leaving it worse than it was, because I was like, ooh, membranes, pop them off. I didn't realize with the PSP the buttons are attached to the membrane, so it just ripped it.
Whoops.
And I'm like, well, because even when you're like, oh, I'm delicate, once you get into the habit of things, you overestimate yourself, and you're like, yeah, I can do this. So yeah, I think practice sets, opening things up, being familiar just with the geography of it, so to speak. iFixit is so helpful. Not with everything, but with these things, they have really good step-by-step guides. And I think also joining communities that can help you, because there are people who are complete assholes, but there are people in the smaller communities who are much nicer. And like, once I had this one wonderful online friend sit with me over chat on Discord, like over like video chat, while we tried to figure out what was going on with a mod. And it ultimately turned out that it was that the person who had created the mod hadn't accounted for variances of motherboards. So it had nothing to do with us, but he was willing to do that. And like, I know that I personally, if I have the time, I would be willing to sit and watch someone and help guide them. But the most important thing, I think, is for a lot of people, it's very easy to be like, okay, well, I'll just buy something that's modded off of Etsy. Do not do that. Everyone who has bought a modded handheld from Etsy, like that I know, is always like, Yeah, so XYZ doesn't work. Like something is crooked, something gets stuck, because they're just like, they're selling things for way too much money. And these are things that like the people who for the most part can do these mods that are very simple, like upgrading a screen and buttons and things like that, they're usually not going to monetize them, because the time and effort it takes me to replace a screen, like if I had to put a price on that, I would be like, I mean, obviously you could be like, oh, well, I'll put a price on the skill and like my acquisition of the skill. But it's like, what? It costs like $10. So outside of the price of parts being the screen and stuff. So already you're getting people who are kind of exploiting by charging so much, like to solder one wire. And so, you know, that tends to correlate with doing a shoddy job. So just please don't do that. You are very likely to honestly find someone who will do it for you for free. I have built things for people and upgraded screens and things like that for people for cost of parts and shipping, because it literally takes me like 10 minutes. So that's just a PSA.
Good PSA though. I mean, do you want to get into that business, or have you ever thought about getting into professional modding?
It's not a good business because it's like, unless you're willing to exploit people and be like, oh, actually it costs $100 for me to solder 2 wires. That's a horrible thing. It doesn't cost you $200 to do that. Bigger mods, for example, the Game Boy Pocket Color mod, the things that are full board mods, those are very hard and very time consuming. And the people who sell those are much fewer and far between, because it takes actually like a great level of ski. For example, Jack V, who goes by Jack Makes, he sells occasionally Game Boy Pocket Colors on his Ko-fi. And like, he's a great dude, and his work is really stellar, and he's become really good at making them. But like, yeah, it's very time consuming and a very high skill thing. Changing a screen is not either of those things. So it's like,
I mean, I can attest to it. I've done a number of screen mods now, or I guess what, 2? Yeah, I guess 2. A GBA SP and then a standard GBA. I mean, the standard GBA one was pretty straightforward. The SP was a little bit more. And at first I didn't do the solder job. I just was going to rely on the touchpads. And yeah, if that's the case, I mean, kind of knowing where, okay, I got to remember where this screw went and this screw went, like for the most part, you just take your time and kind of enjoy the process. But even Russ said that even scares you, just a basic screen replacement.
No, so I don't mind the screen replacement. I mean, I had some casualties in my early days where, like trying to remove the old screen, like using a hairdryer and stuff. Like I had some cracked screens and then glass everywhere, that kind of stuff. My problem too is I'm always doing it on camera, which is just like 10 times worse, you know, because I'm like, oh, I might need this footage or whatever. And so, thinking about this, like thinking about like an introductory mod or things like that, like the number one thing I keep thinking about, like in terms of satisfaction for me, is replacing the Joy-Cons, like the analog sticks on Joy-Cons, like adding, you can buy them on AliExpress. You can get the Hall sensor ones for, $5-10, and then just, iFixit website again, like just go on there, take it apart, put it back together. I've done that for so many people, and I hand it back to them and they're just like, they think it's magic. Like I just did something magical. And it's like, well, no, it took me 5 minutes. But the cool thing is that if you mess that one up, you're just out of Joy-Con at that point. You're not out, like your Switch isn't going to break.
Those are pretty expensive, though.
They are, but I'm just saying, like, it's not your treasured childhood console.
True,
kind of thing.
true.
No,
Not
but
yet.
also, like, you say that as though opening up, like, the Switch Joy-Cons isn't a little bit complicated.
It is.
Like, compared to, like, a
yeah.
Game Boy Color or something. Like, there's a lot more going on there. You've got all these little ribbons, and
Yeah.
it's... So if you can do that, you know. And also, when you're talking about glass shattering, then I'm assuming it isn't like a Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance or something, because those
No,
are all
I'm talking
plastic.
about handhelds. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's yeah, you're going for something that's like more complex.
Actually, side note, I was trying to sell the deck site that it was that replacement OLED screen replacement for the Steam Deck LCD. And that was the one that I had the most people like come up and ask me about it, or like sitting there hemming and hawing on it. And they were all just like, yeah, but a Steam Deck right now costs, $750 or whatever. So like if this mod goes bad,
right.
And it is a little bit more of a risky one to replace that whole screen on the Steam Deck. So I totally get it. I do wonder, like, is this part of the reason why all of these, retro doodad devices are becoming so big, is because people are like, you know what? I don't want to change the original hardware. I actually will just want to buy the new Anbernic thing and be just,
Anbernic.
I didn't. It's not mine. I stole that. But be like, okay, you know what? I can get a very comparable experience of an RG, or I'm sorry, a GBA SP, but I didn't have to mod anything. I just bought $60 for this, and then I still have the original one. It's sitting there just fine. So do you think that equates to it, that the people are just getting the new emulation devices rather than modding?
I mean, probably. But that's where the matter of opinion comes in. That's so stupid, because I'm like, no, but it's not a perfect like one-to-one replacement. But then someone else can come up and I forget his name, but there's this fellow who reviews like new Game Boy games and stuff on YouTube, and he still uses like a non-backlit device, and it's like, so technically I'm not using original. So everyone has their everyone has their like limits. Life would be easier if I was. But Russ, I think when they released the first SP clone, I remember watching your video on it, and like it was the wrong aspect ratio, and that took me out. I was like, why would you do this? Why would you release a clone and it's not even the right aspect ratio?
Yeah, it's much bigger too. That was the 35XX SP. Yeah, it was like, the spirit was there a little bit, but it was like you had to really squint to see it. They've gotten better. Now they actually are using like an integer scale GBA screen with their newer ones and stuff. But yeah, there's always a trade-off. And for me, it's not just the screen. It's like the USB-C charging. Having a lithium-ion battery inside. Like there's a lot of other perks that come with it, and it's weird. It's like a practical thing too, because it's like $60 for that one versus the parts, the time, the labor, the stress, and everything of modding and stuff. There's a trade-off, one or the other. One's very satisfying. Like I think the modding part is just a lot of fun. Buying a handheld that's already done all that for you is satisfying in its own way too, but not in the same way.
Actually, I do have a good question. Like, Marisa, what do you consider a mod? Because like for my GBA SP that I have here, that I've swapped the shell and stuff, whatever. Listen, we're not going to talk about this. But I did get the battery replacement. It's still the same, crappy charging port, but all it does is just replace the battery to a higher capacity thing. Yeah. But it's aftermarket. It's not a Nintendo thing. Would you consider that a mod, or like what draws a line in terms of like what a mod is? Yeah,
it depends who's asking. So one thing, like I think modding is great because it gives like flexibility and personality, and obviously, like, again, kind of what I was saying, everyone has their limits. So like, to me, I could not care any less about USB-C. Like, I love rechargeable AAs and rechargeable AAAs. They're so convenient to me. And so what? I have like a USB charger with like the different ends poking out for like different devices. That's easy enough. But yeah, but different people have different limits. But like, yeah, I think for like you as the person who changed the battery, Adam, I would be like, hell yeah, you modded that. But then you see these people going online who are like, is this a fake Game Boy Advance because the shell is different? And it's like, no, it's not fake. It's just the aftermarket shell, but that doesn't make it fake. So in that sense, it's like if someone changes the battery, I don't think it like reduces the authenticity of it the way that like changing the screen on a limited edition Game Boy would alter the authenticity. But in terms of you did that, yeah.
Well, I mean, along the same lines, there's like, older consoles, like say like the original Xbox, right? That a lot of people are having to actually go in and save because there was some, I don't remember the exact defect, but it could, ruin the motherboard kind of thing. So it's like that's a mod, or at least I would call that a mod. That thing is going in and preserving that hardware. Like if it dies, then it's not good to anybody. So
it's like recapping the Game Gear. It's kind of a necessary thing because those components have gotten so old. Same thing with the Turbo Express, which is that TurboGrafx 16 handheld. Yeah, a lot of people have to just do maintenance mods on those ones.
Yeah. So I think it's a fun thing to do, depending on how you get into it.
I've had people tell me like, like I found my old, I don't know, DS or whatever, and it's not working. I think the battery is dead. And I'm like, you can change the battery. And they're like, I don't understand. So that's why I'm saying like, yeah, it's a mod. Like the more what anyone knows, there's someone who knows less than you, and we can all learn more. But we should be proud of what we know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gave the tip about steering away from people who are modding stuff on Etsy. Do you like? I feel like maybe this is just me, but there's a lot of like flea markets around here, and I'll come across like people who are like, oh yeah, I've got DSs or GBAs or whatever that look to be in real bad condition. Even if they're selling them for a lot of money. But do you ever find yourself in that situation where you're looking at something, you're like, man, this is really banged up and this is in a bad spot, but I could give this a good home. The bones are still probably good, but I can take it home, I can mod it up and get it in working condition.
I live in New York City, so people think that everything's worth twice what it is worth. So unfortunately, no. But I mean, I've like done that with other electronics outside of handhelds, and it's kind of you just sort of like knowing what to look for. For example, like corrosion is a big one. If you see signs of corrosion, it's very likely that it could be that if it's just on the battery terminals, then you can replace those easily or clean them, but it could be on the board. And the good thing about all these they're high-skilled mods, but the good thing about all these new like upgraded boards or alternately shaped boards or just brand new replacement boards is you can take the stuff off the corroded board and put it on a new board. But obviously that takes more skill. Like I see a lot of people, for example, with like, they're like, oh, like my copy of Pokemon Emerald, which is $1 bajillion now, is corroded. And it's like, well, if you have the skill, you can just take the chips and move them to a new board. But yeah, you have to know what to look for and what your limits are. And you can probably, ultimately like sell it to someone. I don't know, you go to eBay and you look up for parts and repair and things are like $2 billion. I'm giving fake numbers so people don't get any ideas.
Well, recently you put up a video of modding a PSP Go, and that one seemed pretty involved, at least for what I saw in my taste. What's the hardest mod, handheld gaming or otherwise, that you think you attempted and you were successful?
That I was successful. I think it still has. It has to be the Game Boy Pocket Color, because it's a full board mod. With like some harvested parts, mostly new parts, and one thing. Well, like a few people have made the board, but my favorite and the one with the strongest community around it is Bucket Mouse's. And while he and his community are very responsive, like with help troubleshooting and stuff, it's one of those things where like you can't really test it until it's done. So if there's an issue, it's like you're really trying to have to, unless it's something known, you're really trying to have to like, it got to the extent where I think with one of my boards, I actually just, the Game Boy just stopped turning on and I troubleshooted it, yes, no, I was going to say troubleshat, and I'm like, that's not.
You know what? That's okay. We'll all allow it, that one.
And I couldn't figure out what it was, so I just gave up and I just moved the entire thing onto a new board, and then it worked. And I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I just know how to use a soldering iron. But yeah, so I think that one's the hardest one, because the only other board, like new board mod I've done was Frogbo Customs Frogboy Color and his Tadboy Color, which is like the mini version of it. And the way he has it set up is really incredible because you basically populate a section, test that section, and then populate the next section. So it feels very easy to track your errors and your successes, which is something you can't do but with the Game Boy Pocket Color. So it's, yeah, that one's definitely but also the first time I made one. It was my first big project, so it probably even felt like a good 30% harder. Like it was the first time using hot air and hot plate and micro soldering, and yeah.
Wait, so Russ, what's been your most advanced one?
I've done like full on like shell replacements, screen replacements of handheld. We're talking handhelds then. These were like years ago. I really kind of got away from it, you know. Lately, all I really will do is like button swaps, button mods, where I'll like maybe add tape to like a D-pad to kind of improve the diagonals and stuff. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Like I had like an Odroid Go Super, I think it was what it was called. This is an older handheld, it's 5 years ago maybe. And someone sent me like a full-on metal shell for it, but I had to like remove the screen, put the screen in the new one, then put all the parts back together into the new shell and stuff. And I put it all together, and I made a video and recorded all of that, you know. And I freaking hated it. I was like, this thing is so heavy. Like, it's like I just downgraded. And I can't put it back because I had to make changes, you know? And so, like, I was like, this is, hey, look at my video. Look at what I did. And I'm like, I'm never using this thing again. I never did. And so that's probably, like, my hardest and also least satisfying mod because I nailed it in all the wrong ways. So, yeah. No soldering. I just can't do soldering.
Shell. And I'm still like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I want to do it, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah, my friend Bill, he was like, I'm going to live stream it. And he had like, set aside 2 hours for it or whatever. It took him over 8 hours to do it on a live stream. He had to like leave for a meal because he exhausted himself. He's like, I'll be back in half an hour. I got to go eat. And then he came back to his own live stream and finished it, you know. He's just like a mess of sweat and just tears, you know. But he did it all live. And I was like, I can't believe you're doing this, man. But yeah, that was like the worst Sunday of his life.
I mean, sometimes that does help push you through, right?
Right.
I mean, like, and I'm stuck. So just so you know, Marisa, I got a Game Boy Advance SP from my handheld dealer. I've a dealer, and I was like, oh, I want to, like, it was the original SP, it had the original screen, and I was like, oh, okay. I played on it for a little bit, and I was like, yeah, this is backlighting? Nah, let's just go and get an IPS screen. So I did, and the first shell swap that I did not turn out how I expected. And I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. So I was like, okay, I'll get another shell in, and then it ended up looking like this. And then I was like, ah, oh, dang it. Okay, so now I'm just stuck because now I've spent the money to mod this twice. And I still don't like the look of it and the feel of it.
What don't you like?
Well, I mean, for number one, I thought it'd be interesting to have the bezel white because then it would kind of contrast to whatever color that I'd put in it. That's not the case. Number two, these are funny playing shells because of it's a funny playing screen as well, and the shell quality is like. Number one, I guess it's way different than the shell on the normal GBA. That was the very first one I did, and I loved the shell on that one. It was perfect, had a great plasticky feel to it, awesome. And then for some reason, the funny playing SP shells are just like real glossy, real like cheap plastic kind of feel to it. Like like way more bendable and malleable. Like I don't like these shells, so I'm like, okay, well, I'm kind of stuck because I mean, another thought I had was, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go back to the original hardware because I still have it. But this screen doesn't work in that shell. You need to have this shell for the screen. And I was like, oh man, I've backed myself into a corner.
You could possibly trim it, but also if you don't like or the original shell, you probably trim it. But yeah, funny playing's really fallen off. But I have a handful of SP shells. I can show you if you like any of them, because there are other stores that sell ones that are like more akin to the original ones.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, do you have any projects like that where you just like you keep modding it and keep hoping it gets to a spot where you're enjoying it, but it's not quite there?
I mean, I think the saddest one for me was when I have my like signature Game Boy Advance, which I spray painted and did like green starbursts on and put stickers on the back. And the first one I did, I had like an IPS screen in it, and then I had an ITA screen in it, and then I was like, okay, there's a laminated ITA screen out now. And I was like, okay, I just have to cut this to fit it in, and it didn't work out, and I ended up damaging that shell, and I was quite depressed for a while before I just went ahead and I bought a new clear shell and just repainted the front of that and started over. And I was like, I am never opening this again. You are going to be happy with with your screen for the rest of your life.
It reminds me of when we moved our pets over back here to Hawaii about 6 years ago. I was like, you guys are now Hawaii pets, because the pain that I went through to get you guys over here and the paperwork and everything else, I'm like, you're never leaving this island. You're now Hawaii pets. So it reminds me of that. You're like, you are now this Game Boy, and that's it.
Wow. Well, yeah. Anything else you feel like we haven't covered on the mod front? I mean, you've got a lot of videos. I just want to point people to go watching your backlog of mod videos because they're fun. But yeah, anything you want to inform people of?
The new Gotcha SP is top loading and can use DS buttons and membranes, which low key was a bit from my feedback. And Joseph has had on his Ko-fi page for the project for like the past 6 months or something that Your Cool Uncle Marisa will be uploading the instructional video. And I only got his parts for it, I think like last month. So one day soon, I hope it'll happen, but I haven't been putting it off for like 6 months. I just haven't had it, and it got mailed back to him a couple of times.
Oh, geez.
So that's because he's in the UK, and so I think they were like, oh, this is from China, so they like sent it back to him or something. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on anywhere. But yeah, so that's an exciting one to maybe look forward to.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen this one. I forget that there's this whole subculture of taking something and not just trying to replace it in its original format, but like making it into something new. So yeah, it's essentially like just half of a Game Boy Advance SP, but it's the top loader. Like, I mean, it still is the original. I mean, is it a board swap too, or is it just kind of a shell swap?
It's a shell swap and like the addition of a button board.
Oh, okay. Yeah, wow. That is cool. Oh, dang. Okay, I'll have to look at that. I like that. Yeah, well, I guess I'll look forward to your video because that'll be gonna be some fun times. Yeah. You know what I'm also gonna look forward to is another ad break, and it's gonna happen right now. We are back on the other side of that break, and we are going to look deep into our pockets because we got some interesting stuff in there. Russ has a new handheld that he just reviewed, or actually two in one video. I mean, it's in 40 minutes. What are you thinking, Russ? That's 20 minutes per handheld. I feel like I'm starting to get ripped off.
You know why it's only 40 minutes? And people probably even noticed, I don't know if they have, I forgot to record the software experience. Like, hey, and this is how you go into the settings and stuff. You know, I do that in every video. Blanked it. I got home and I'm like, oh my gosh. Because like there was even a part in the video where I said, and we'll cover this in the software section of this video. I had to cut that line out of my video and be like, listen, like, sorry, you're not getting software. There's not a lot to talk about. It's an Android device. You're going to go into the settings, you make your button adjustments or whatever. But man, like, I can't believe, like, I'm like losing it, you know? And so that's why, that probably is why I shaved off an additional 5 minutes off of that there. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, now we need the Russ cut.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to re-record it because I never recorded it in the first place. So.
Yeah. Get back in the
studio. I can't believe I blanked on it.
What are you doing?
I'm an idiot.
And Marisa, you brought something in your pocket that is not a gaming device, but it is a handheld. So, and it is something that I have been looking at the sidelines for a long time at getting. But this is the XTEink X4. So, I mean, spoilers, I already know a little bit about the news because of what's happening over on your Discord. Really good Discord, by the way. Go join over there. But what's going on with that, Marisa? Why do you love it, or why do you hate it? What's going on?
Well, this is the original X4, and I love it because it's a open, unlocked e-reader. It's like this small.
It's so tiny.
And it fits in your pocket, and the custom firmware for it has been fantastic, mainly Crosspoint, and I've been using a fork called XTEink, and I am able to just use it, and I've mainly been reading just on the subway, instead of, people are always on their phones on the subway, and I'm always like, how is everyone getting service? And I'm like, I don't think anyone's getting service. I think they're just staring and waiting for service to come to them. So that's been great, and I've read more books on it than I've read books at all in the past several months, which is embarrassing. But I paid my dues in college. But yeah, no, it's very satisfying, and what I love about it is that it has also buttons, and it has buttons on the side that you can use to go next and previous. It has also buttons on the front that you can Photoshop it in later.
It's right there.
Press. So it's a very tactile experience. It doesn't have like a front light or touch screen, or it doesn't run Android. It doesn't have any. I love single-use devices.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. And I've been putting it in a little pouch, and then I put my ID and my card in the pouch, and I just put it in my pocket, and I go out. Please don't rob me if you see me.
You're like, hey, you know what? Keep the ID, keep the money. I just want that XTEink back, please. It's my favorite. It's got my book.
Yeah, they're discontinuing it. So yeah, don't steal it.
Or be like, at least just tell me what page I'm on so that I can get back to that.
So remind me real quick, because I know you did a video on it, but did they send that to you as a review unit, or is this something you purchased on your own?
Yeah, so they'd sent that to me as a review unit, and my review for it is very positive. Mostly very positive. And then they made the XTEink X4 Pro, which they also sent me a review unit, but their reviews are currently they're like embargoing people, I think, on a staggered thing, because they're like, they want there to be enough units to actually fulfill orders before the review goes out. So initially I was embargoed till August, and then they've embargoed me again till September. So my official review isn't out, but the new one has a front light. It has fewer buttons. It has touch controls, and instead of USB-C charger, it has Pogo, which is, I initially was not angered by this. But then when I put the Pogo adapter on my USB-C cable and then I put it on the back, it just goes boing. So it's not like it's absolutely inane. And there's also some other concessions. There's a lot of compromises, it feels like, that have been made in order to accommodate this front light. They announced today that they're discontinuing the original X4. And previously, someone had leaked something about there's going to be an X4 2, which is not going to have a light. Yes, exactly, X8. And it's similar to the original X4, but it also uses the pogo pins. And so, so my advice, while having the full review being embargoed, is if you were on the fence about the X4, get it before they get rid of it completely. Maybe they'll change their mind. People have been really upset about it on socials, so maybe they'll change their mind. But if you want one, get it.
Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know where to start. I've got a lot of questions. They're all tangents a little bit, but I mean, number one, so the X4 is not for professionals, but the X4 Pro is for professionals. Is that how they're messaging this?
Yeah, if you have a PhD, you get the Pro.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I blame Apple for making this whole stupid Pro nomenclature out there, because it's just like back in the day, it used to mean like, oh yeah, it was for professionals, and I got that. But now it's just like, no, Pro, you want to get the Pro one, right?
At one point, people were speculating that the Pro was going to run Android, which it doesn't.
Would you want that?
No, I wouldn't want it. But people have different likes and dislikes. But the front light on the Pro kind of, it gave me a bit of tangential satisfaction, because people are always coming to me and commenting, the Playdate should have a backlight. And I'm like, I feel like that would defeat the purpose of what it is. And even this, when I did my review, people were like, I'd buy it if it had a front light. And I'm like, okay, well, now it does. And I feel like it compromises the experience, but okay.
Well, but I mean, at least if that could sit alongside the original, then you get your options, right?
Yeah.
And so that is really, have they signaled any reason why they're discontinuing the original X4?
I imagine it would either be to get the version 2 out and have pogo pins. I don't know, maybe like they're in bed with Big Pogo.
That's the worst.
But they probably just don't want people, they probably just don't want like the revenue splitting between two devices that are very similar. And they're like, because what also sucks is like the X4 is $69 and the Pro is $99. So if you get rid of the 4, people would just have to buy the Pro and it's more expensive. But I don't know, they didn't really explain. They were just like, share your favorite memories about the X4 before it goes away forever.
They didn't even try to be like, oh, sorry, the RAM crisis out there is just really screwing everything over. They could have just done that, right?
No, they're friendly, but I think they're kind of in over their heads. When I sent them an email being like, please keep the buttons on the next iteration. This was before the Pro was announced. And they sent me a ChatGPT generated email being like, buttons are great and fun and tactile. We totally get it. And I was like, why?
Also, another side note, I've been in this industry long enough, and Russ, I actually don't think we've had a chance to talk about this too, but embargoes are a weird thing. Like generally, I actually think embargoes are a good thing because it puts everyone on an even playing field. You know, rather than saying, oh, we're going to give exclusive access to, you know, all the devices to reviewers early, and then all it is just a race to the bottom to see who can get their stuff up first. Instead, you know, at least there's a little bit of a level playing field to say, hey, you know what? Everyone is going to agree to a time that we all get our information out there, and everyone generally has the same amount of time with the devices. So that's why I think generally it's a good thing. But especially when there's staggered embargoes or like regional embargoes, like there was a device like a phone recently that was already out in a different area, or is the DJI Osmo Pocket 4, whatever the new one, the Pro, Oh, that one was professional because it's got 2 lenses. That one had an embargo for U.S. reviewers, even though it's already been out in Asia. That's what it was. Our company actually is of the mindset of like, if it's already released and you can buy it, then we're not gonna agree to that embargo. Like I mean, it's the same hardware unless there's something different, right? I guess I've rarely heard of a staggered embargo.
I think they don't know what they're doing, respectfully. Like, I think that's kind of it. Because at this point, people who are like just casual bloggers are like, mine came in the mail. These are my thoughts on it. Meanwhile, I can't make of my video. And I feel like if I was at a loss for videos to make, I would be complaining a bit more to them. I'd be like, hey guys, this doesn't make any sense. Also, my review is kind of lukewarm, so you don't have to worry about like not having enough units on my account. But yeah.
So behind the scenes for me, they reached out to me a couple months ago, and but I heard the Pro was coming, and I'm a fan of backlight just because I can maybe read it in bed, you know.
It's a front light.
Front light. Sorry, front light. Yeah, and because I have my e-reader is the Kobo one, which I really like. You know, I kind of just use it without their OS, but just like on my own, and I really enjoy that. And so I was like, oh, something smaller would be cool. And so I wrote back because they wanted to send me the X4, and I was like, you know, the X4 is probably not going to be a good fit for me, just because I'm looking forward to the Pro. So how about we just wait for the Pro, basically? And then they're like, sure, yeah, absolutely, we'll put you on the list. And then I also emailed back, I'm like, you know what? Just send me the X4 now. That way, when I get the Pro, I'll be able to be like, hey, I've lived with this one for a while, and then I can review that one. And then they ghosted me. Like I must have crossed a line or something, because I've got nothing from them ever since. And so while you were talking, I just bought the X4. Like you got me like kind of feeling like, oh my God, like the Pogo thing kind of scared me a bit. So I just bought the X4 like 5 minutes ago. And so we'll see how it goes. I probably won't make a video on it, but.
The X3 has Pogo, and people haven't been complaining about it. I feel like maybe I just need like a flimsier USB cable, because I feel like what happened, it doesn't come, if it came with a Pogo cable, which I think the X3 does come with a Pogo cable, but the 4 Pro just comes with an adapter. So I think because my USB-C cables are strong, so when I put the adapter on, like it won't like, it doesn't go flaccid and like just sit there. It's like, so maybe I just need to go buy a USB-C cable so that it'll just sit there.
It's still a good talking
point. It'll change your
though.
review.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just makes me anxious when I'm updating the firmware, because you don't want it to disconnect in the middle. So I just like hold it like a sandwich while it.
Well, so does it ship with its own stock OS? You mentioned it's open source though as well.
So it ships with its stock OS, but it's they officially are partnered with Crosspoint, which is the main custom firmware. So you can actually purchase through Crosspoint and have the developers of the custom firmware get a cut. But even their stuff around that was weird, because they ended up region locking some of the X4s to China or to the US. And the ones that were region locked to the US couldn't be flashed with custom firmware. And now there's an unlocker for it, but you can't, if you unlock it, not all custom firmwares will work. And only the ones that you buy directly from XTEink are developer unlocked. And the assumption between that was they wanted to sell them more at MSRP, because you could find them at one point on AliExpress for like $40, $50, which is less than $70. I am good at math.
I'll trust you. Yeah.
So so even that, like, they're just weird. But the people at the Crosspoint people move fast. They already have like they're on like several iterations in now of custom firmware for the X4 Pro. So yeah.
Good. Well, what is your ideal version of this though? Like make an XTEink X whatever number, and it would be this is exactly what Marisa wants. The Marisa the cool uncle edition.
So if before I had the X4 Pro, I probably would have said just the X4 with the option of a light. However, I'm just doing my review on this. They didn't embargo this, but it's so small, and the front light has to be sandwiched between the e-ink and like the lens, basically. So to do that, they've had to increase the gap between the screen and like the lens and the touch display and stuff. So when the light is off, you see a shadow around the rim. And obviously when you're reading, you don't care. But this happened when I like did a review comparing the RG Cube XX and the RG Cube, and people were like, well, I have the XX and it's perfect. And I'm like, yes, on its own, you won't notice. But like when you compare it to the other thing, you notice that like the actual build quality is different. And it was the same with me. Like if I just had the Pro, maybe I wouldn't have noticed or it wouldn't have bothered me. But the text is just so much crisper on the X4 because it's just right up against the lens. Whereas with the Pro, you have a drop shadow feature and the text looks a little lighter because it's farther. So I don't know if I would want, because if I would want a one with a light, I honestly think the X4 itself is perfect. Maybe a more powerful processor so that it loads images faster, because right now it takes a bit to index when there's images. But I feel like I think if someone mainly reads before they go to bed, I think then, you know, like you said, like a front light is perfect. I think if someone wants like a commuter one and one to read in bed, like that's like a point where I'm like, I don't think it would be overconsumption to have like an actual like larger one that has a light and then the pocketable one, because that way, if you put co-reader sync on both, you can just sync them so you have the same book on both.
Yeah.
But I also know that can be annoying. I don't know. Like, there's plenty of people who like the Pro. I'm sure.
Well, what if you could get a worm light that clicks in? You know, just like they sell their own light that goes magnetically on the back, and it's basically a worm light. Okay, I was just thinking like the GBA. Like,
yeah, no, I know.
You know, like, that's funny.
But I also got a clip-on light because I decided that instead of spending money on their official light, I could get a cheaper light and then add it to make it cost as much as their official light by also buying metal plates, and then I glued them onto the light, and then at that point I could have just thought, and yeah, it just like, you know, flips over. Yeah.
Okay. All right. How much do you actually read on this?
Right now, I've been like basically anytime I'm on the subway, and I'm on the subway probably like 5 days a week, maybe 4 days a week.
Okay. Nice. So you get a lot of use out of it.
The back and forth, that's would be two sets, 15 minutes.
Okay. You're making me want to go out and buy it now too. Oh, I gotta hurry and post, you know, or hurry and buy it before we post this.
I was pissed they didn't give me an affiliate link because I know a lot of people bought it.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. All right, well, just donate. I'm sure you have a donate, coffee or something, or
I do have a coffee.
There we go. Yeah, maybe just kick in some extra money. I'll put a link down in the description.
Nice.
All right. Well, Russ, sorry, Marisa, you have anything else in your pocket you want to talk about? And I don't know how deep your pockets are.
You know, just that and my ID and my card.
Okay. Well, what's your daily care? Or do you have any sort of like handheld gaming device that is you either take with you or you go to at home?
I don't take them out. I realize that I don't really have a situation where I would play them, which is why the XTEink is so nice. But because I can disengage from it easier than I would a game. Sometimes I feel like an old person because I'm like, all these screens, they distract me and they suck me in. But I rotate at home. Right now
Wait, you mean you got the RG Rotate? So you just
Not yet.
rotate at home?
I do want to try it out. How big hold it in your hand. I can't tell how big it is. It's like bigger than I thought it would be, but it's not.
Smaller than a
This is my
GBA,
head.
but not by much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah. So here's
SP,
here's a GBA. Well, here we go. Whatever. It's the Anbernic
Hey.
GBA, but it is literally like almost the same exact size, like a little smaller. Yeah.
When I'd seen the previews, I was thinking like it would be iPod Nano sized, like the one where the square one.
That would be nice. Yeah. Actually, well, I saw it. It's been sitting on my coffee table out here, and my wife has a Moto Razr Flip, like her, whatever, the Razr phone, and it actually looks like a Razr phone, like closed. Because there's the outer screen or whatever, but there's no camera. So I don't know if you ever held one of those, but that's the other
I have
analogy.
a Galaxy Flip.
Oh, okay. Then yeah. That's kind of almost the same analogy for me. Is that a little bulkier, but anyway. Okay.
So hold on before we move on.
Sorry.
I want to hear what her current.
Yeah. So you rotate. You don't RG rotate. You just rotate devices.
I just finished playing Pikmin 3 on my Switch, and I might be playing it a little bit longer. But otherwise, and then I have a bunch of games that I've been sent from Playdate devs, so I need to catch up with those. So that might be next.
Cool. Okay. Sweet. Nice. All right. Well, Russ, let's get into your review. The Mangmi.
Just rolls off the tongue. Mangmi Air Y.
Mangmi Air Y and Y Pro. So one of them's for professional, one of them's for not.
Right.
We've already established
professional gamers. Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually did watch your video this morning. So other than talking about the software experience, it's really weird you didn't talk about software, but it's okay.
Yeah. Wonder.
Is there anything else like that you felt like you didn't cover in there?
No, I think I probably could have done a better job, like talking about the joy of playing like GameCube and PS2 on a vertical device. It's not the ideal way for me to play those systems. I'd rather play them with a horizontal candy bar style handheld, like a Retroid Pocket or whatever, especially the Retroid Pocket Nova, which just came out, but there is something that's just kind of funny and magical about being like, no, I'm playing, whatever, like James Bond 007 Nightfire or whatever on this thing that looks like a Game Boy. Like that's just kind of a funny thing, and I didn't really stop and pause and tell people that was so fun, But it's kind of cool. It's an interesting handheld. I mean, there's the Y and the Y Pro, and this is the Pro one. It's got 2 sticks. That's the professionalism part right there. And the chips are identical to other handhelds they've already released. So it's like they just took I don't mind that, like recycling the existing stock that they have and like, all right, new form factor. If you want this new form factor, go for it, And they basically kind of nailed this feel. Honestly, if you're looking at a handheld under $100 and you want something that looks like a Game Boy, then I think the non-Pro is probably your best bang for your buck in terms of performance and quality and stuff. And same thing at this 200 level with the Pro one. Bang for your buck again. This thing's got the same chip as the Retroid Pocket 5, but undercuts it by $20, And so I think they did a pretty good job in their placement of this very saturated market, like actually finding a niche for them. But it's also not very exciting. Like they're not exciting handhelds. Like the video itself is like you have like the 1 out of 10 versus 10 out of 10. It's like an 8 out of 10. Like the amount of interest in these handhelds is very low, just because there are so many good Game Boy form factor handhelds out there already. And so, I'm not really seeing a lot of interest in them, which is just a shame really, because it's a great little handheld that came out at like the worst possible time, basically, just in terms of saturation and everything else. But otherwise they're decent.
Well, like why release both at the same time?
Oh, gosh, like to confuse me, to make it hard for
okay,
me.
Yeah.
Not only 2 at a time, but then also the Pro one has two RAM differences, right? 2 different SKUs, and there's a fair price difference. I think it's like a $20-$30 price difference between them, and they also only sent me the high-end one, so I can't even really review the lower-end one of the middle one, I guess you could say. And so that made it a little complicated too. It's not a simple launch, unfortunately, and the best thing about it is that I did have these for about 3 weeks before making the video, so they're very lived in terms of like knowing the quirks and what's good and what's bad about them. And so that was helpful for me, because often I will have like just kind of a week to turn around some of these, but but I had a lot more time with these, especially because it was reviewing 2 at once. So yeah, I think it is confusing. I think that they're trying to be everything for everybody. And I'm the kind of guy that's like, just make one single good product, and then that will probably sell a lot better. And I like that singular vision kind of thing. And they definitely don't have that here.
Who is this company? Do they have ties to anybody else?
So people speculate, and there's a lot of good kind of backing for it, that they are a splinter group of Io. Like that they are like former employees that used to work there. They got a lot to turn around. Like I even see that with my emails from them. Like, hey, my name is Clarence. I'm now your contact. It's like I've had 4 of those people, in the past 4 years. And so it's like they got high turnaround. And I think that some of those people, I mean, to be clear, like one of the people that emails me from this company is someone who used to email me from INEOS, like a former employee there. And so they're not an engineer, but that's at least their marketing person, But either way, yeah, so there's definitely some similarities in terms of like, for example, this thing's got a little scroll wheel on it. Only the INEO has had this, the INEO Pocket DMG. And so they have definitely, they've got some shared connections in terms of the factories and stuff and suppliers maybe. And so, yeah, so I think there's an INEO kind of connection, but not officially and probably not like formally. And so I don't know, like I never bring it up because I don't want them to like what if they hate each other, like I don't want to be in the middle of that turf war, And so I tend to just kind of treat them like a new company. But yeah, I think there's some connection there.
Interesting. It's hard to tell when you don't have something in your hand, but they look kind of bulky to me. I don't know if maybe that's the design
it's
too.
Standard. I mean, it's just your standard like 1-inch kind of thickness. So like all the like Anbernics and a couple others. I mean, it's thinner than a DMG. It's thinner than a Game Boy Color. It's just kind of it's actually pretty decent size. It's about as thick as like the Miu Mini Plus. I mean, it's just a kind of a standard thickness overall. So I don't find these to be bulky. It's a little big because it is a 4.2-inch screen. So everything kind of gets bigger when you make a bigger 4x3 screen. But yeah, it's fine. I just not a vertical guy. I don't like doing this thing with my fingers. I know you don't like doing that either. So I have to take myself out of the video when I make some of these reviews. It's like, listen, it's not about whether or not this is for me. It's whether or not it's for you. And so that's usually the approach I have with these. And it's not a handheld for me, but I don't know. I think some people might like it.
Marisa, is it for you?
No. I was thinking though, when you said like it looks so big, I feel like a lot of that has to do with a lot of these designs are very brutalist. They're all like the 90-degree angles. I don't know why we're so scared of, or not we, but like why they're so scared of rounded edges.
It's true. Yeah, this isn't as bad as some of the Anbernics. Like they have the 477M, and it's an all glass front, and it's just straight 90-degree on this side. This one at least got a bit of curve to it, so it's a little easier on the hands. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that either. I do think that a handheld should be held in your hands, and it should be comfortable in that regard, as opposed to just whether or not it looks good on a spec sheet.
Okay. Yeah. What is the fan noise? I don't think you really covered that in the video, did you?
I did. So it's like it gets loud, but you don't have to use it at the highest one. This is a typical INEO thing too, so probably using similar components, probably similar software too. But the issue is with the low spec model is that even if you put it on the lowest fan mode, it decides for you. It's like, actually, we don't think you want that. We're going to go to extreme, and it gets a mind of its own. And you're playing Game Boy. You're not pushing this device, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, like turbocharged. And it freaked me out a couple times. And so I mentioned that in the video a couple times, that it's like it does have a mind of its own when it comes to the cooling. Hopefully, it can be fixed in the software. But in my experience, that was just kind of weird.
Okay. And Russ, what does it smell like? I got to ask.
Oh, geez.
Let's do a smell test. I'm sorry. Marisa, I like to smell
it's fair.
things. So.
It doesn't smell like anything. I mean, it smells a little plasticky.
Okay.
Nothing, sorry.
It's because you've been using it for so long. The smell's gone.
The cool thing about this one, though, is it's got a side fan, so the exhaust comes out on the side, so you could push the smell to your neighbor while you're playing, as opposed to going up and smelling it, right? So it's kind of a two-person experience there.
Yeah, it's like couch co-op. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. I like that. Okay, well,
I want to hear...
Last question.
Okay. But I want to hear your pockets because you got like 4 or 5 things listed here. So go ahead.
Real quick, the non-pro version. Do you think that's a little weird? They took a stick off. I understand it's a performance thing, it's a weaker chipset, so you're not gonna have as many things, but like they could have just kept another stick on, right?
Yeah, so you're thinking about it, I think, the backwards way that they want you to think about it. They want you to think that pro adds a stick. You're saying, take away a stick for non-pro. But that's not the way they're thinking. They're thinking about, it's professional or pro to have 2. And so, yeah, I get what you mean, though. But
well, because I would say most consoles that can play 3D games have 2 sticks, right? Yeah. Like the PSP is one of the examples where it's like it only has one little circle pad, and that's kind of weird. But for the most part, you get 2. It's symmetry. It just works. Right. So, yeah, I feel like they took one away.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't mind it with that level of performance because when it comes to Nintendo 64 and Dreamcast, which is where it caps out, it's a single stick device or single stick console. And so no big loss to me. And I like having that extra space to put my hand as well, and not pushing my thumb or my hand against like the thumbstick. And so, yeah, I can see it going both ways. I kind of like it. I like it's cool. Like they have like a regular and then pro gives you the 2 sticks when you need them. It feels a little more thoughtful than just slapping stuff in there.
All right. Well, speaking of slapping stuff in there, I've been slapping a lot of handhelds into my pockets. I'm going to try to go through this quick because I don't have a ton of deep thoughts, but I want to update people through the process. Yeah. I also feel like it's kind of weird because we are talking now that we've been 25 episodes in, we start to talk about some of the same stuff over and over again, and I do wonder are people getting sick of that? I don't know. When I talked to Mr. Dweeb a couple weeks ago, he's like, no, I love hearing the behind the scenes, even if it's just, I'm continuing to use it kind of stuff. So I guess I'm experimenting. The one new thing I did get in was the Nova. So I did reach out to them. They sent over the Nova. This is do you remember the color name of it? It's just black.
Probably. Yeah.
Except for I do kind of like how the sticks are just a little bit of it's not it's the LED ring. So it's not the actual stick itself, but the LED ring has a little, white pop. And I kind of like that. It gives a little bit of something. But Marisa, what kind of colorway do you usually pick on a device? Do you like something that looks more modern like this one, or like a vintage colorway,
whatever
looks like
is the
SNES?
most fun.
Oh,
I actually don't even like the SNES kind of copies, but sometimes that's the most interesting one there is.
True.
Yeah, they're that's another thing that makes me sad about emulation handhelds. The colorways are so boring. But the Nova, actually, that is one that when I saw, I was like, oh, that looks really cute, and it comes in some really cute colorways. But for some reason, Retroid has never asked me to review something so that I can be like, I prefer original hardware, but if you want this, go for it. They're like, no, that's not.
That's another jam. Well, what about translucent plastic?
I think that's a step towards the right direction.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because I got this is the ice blue one right here. It's translucent. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was your thumbnail that I saw with the translucent blue, and I was like, oh, that looks like candy. I love it.
Yum. So I did take this on the bus this week. I got it in. I think I got it on Monday or Sunday, and all last week was just dealing with the flea market, and I was just so tired. I slept 12 hours on Sunday just recovering physically. So I didn't get a ton of time gaming with other stuff. But then, this came in either Sunday or Monday, but I quickly went through the setup process so that I could take it on the bus with me into the city. Marisa, I live in Oakland, but I work in San Francisco, so it's about a 45
I used to live in
minute.
Oakland.
Oh, nice. Oaktown. Love it. So it's usually a good Transbay bus trip over into the city. So I've got a good time to kind of get into some gaming, and I knew I wanted to try this out. So the other weird part about it is that when I set it up, I was going through and being like, well, I kind of want to wait for Russ's video to tell me how to set this thing up, but also I kind of want to start using it. So what I did was try to place myself in somebody who didn't know anything about how to do this stuff, right? Like been like, oh wow, I heard all these people so excited about this handheld, so I guess I just need to get it. I feel like I heard a lot of people talk about that way about like the AYN Thor, or like I feel like there's certain handhelds that are like an entry point into emulation devices, and I feel like maybe this is one of them. So I was like, okay, well, what would it be like if I was somebody who didn't know anything about emulation devices, just going through the setup and trying to play games, and like the stock, or not the stock, but the Android setup stuff is pretty straightforward in terms of that, except for when you get to the emulation screen and it's just like, okay, well, what emulators do you want to download? And there's a list of stuff. You could check everything, but you're not going to use everything. But then also something like, what was it? I think it's Dolphin has 2 versions on that list. There's Dolphin and then Dolphin for handheld. And like if you didn't know what you were doing, you'd be like, well,
that's like a remnant from like the Retroid Pocket 3 days. Like that's how
really?
old that's been on there for years. They need to take that off because the Nova does not need to have 2 different versions of Dolphin at all. That's great.
Yeah, so like I was like, okay, I'm trying to put myself in the mind of somebody who hasn't done this. So, it was pretty straightforward. And then I did find there was a little toggle in the drop down, the little drop down thing to enable, what do they call it? Now I can't find it. But it essentially uses their own front end.
Oh,
oh no! I'm thinking of the rotate. I'm getting confused by my things. No. What is this? What is this front end that they have?
They call it like the Retroid launcher. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I launch into the Retroid launcher, and essentially it's like, okay, well, you need to add your ROMs, and like there's nothing explaining on where to add your ROMs. I did add some ROMs, but I actually accidentally put it in the wrong place. And then you gotta like point it to the right place and then synchronize it and all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, man, luckily there's people like you who exist to help people walk through it, but it's like super not straightforward. So I was like, okay, well then getting the ROMs on there, whatever, maybe somebody figures it out. But then, okay, I've got my ROMs on there and I'm just going to go ahead and play a game. And you go in and click a game, and sometimes it's like, oh, hey, well, what thing do you want to use for the actual emulation? And it's just like, oh, I don't know. And then it always defaults to having the touchscreen overlay, and I hate that. It is so annoying. like
I should be writing all this down because it's like all these pain points that it's so true, and people are waiting on my guide. Like I'm getting constant comments and emails and be like, okay, what day are you releasing your guide? Because I need to know. Like that's like where we're at with this right now.
Wow,
so that's my next video, by the way. But it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, number one, it is kind of hard. I'm not an expert, but I know enough. I've learned enough of watching enough of your videos to be like, okay, well, I need to go in. I need to map the controller because a lot of times the controls just don't work by default, all that kind of stuff. And like, if I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of somebody who is so excited, I heard all these people talk about this device. I get it in the mail. It's beautiful and just really thoughtful. The CEO took out a mortgage for the screen. That's crazy.
Right.
And then you go through the setup process, and it is nowhere like a console. Anywhere like a console. It is so confusing. And it's just, especially if somebody was just like, I just want to play a game. And so like I really think they need to stop and do more work. Not just Retroid, but all the emulation ones. Like there's got to be at least a closer to middle ground for people who don't want to have to dive through things. Or I guess I shouldn't be saying this because then there would be less people who need you, Russ. But it's good job security for you at least.
Yeah, the thing is too is that is what it really comes down to is there's so many different versions of Android and different levels of permissions that each of those different ROMs can allow, and as a result, there's like no app that theoretically there should be an app there you just tap on this and it goes and downloads all the open source apps, installs them for you, and then adds in configuration files that are going to work with each of those. But that's not how Android works. That level of permissions is just not there, right? And so people have tried, and I've tried to help people with that, coming up with like a configurator app, so that they don't have to watch an hour-long video from me. But unfortunately, permissions, and then once you start dealing with different versions of Android, Retroid and stuff, it always stops people. And so we've just never really had a good solution. So I think I will be permanently employed in that regard.
Well, there you go. Well, at least you make it clear. It's to the point though, where when I went through your last setup video, and that video was over an hour long, and it is an investment. And then I think on the other part of it too is that somebody who doesn't know this the way that you do, then they'll get the help from you to set it up. But then if something breaks. It's just like, okay, well, the people, like, I feel like
Enjoy
that's
Reddit.
probably, I have no reason to, assume this or other than just like my own thoughts. But I wonder if that is maybe one of the number one reasons why somebody would be very excited to get this, and then try to go through all the hassle, and then ultimately it ends up in a drawer somewhere as e-waste, because they're like, well, it was too hard to play games, and I just want to play games.
Right. Yeah, we don't really have electronics like that where you buy it and that's just the very first step in the process where you got to go through all the rest, right? Especially when it comes to gaming. You don't ever really think about that. Like, can you imagine, like, hey, I got an Xbox. How do I launch games? Well, an hour-long tutorial will show you how to play your first game,
I mean, yeah, people would be in the streets. Right?
I actually briefly did have an Xbox, like not the newest one, the one that was at the same time as PS4.
Xbox One.
Yes. Okay, the one. And I hadn't had a home console since the PS2. So when I plugged it in, I was like, where is game? Why do I can't find game? But I did actually end up trading it for a PS4. And I still have that PS4. And the PS4 was a lot more intuitive to me. So actually that is a very valid comparison. But no, I hate Android handhelds. I'm just like, this is just a phone with buttons. I hate it. And I'm just going to play my PS2. It's right over there. I'll just do that. I don't need... No.
Which once again, to the earlier news that we were talking about, maybe this is somewhere that SteamOS can go in and eat people's lunch, because Linux is a lot more configurable like that. I wonder if these devices, if they could get more Linux adoption, that Android is not the way. I mean,
we've already got apps on Linux like Retroid, which is different than EmuDeck. EmuDeck does the same kind of thing where it kind of helps to configure, but it's a lot more malleable. Retroid is just a single app. You get it, you install it, and then it's just drag and drop your ROMs, and then they pre-configure all of it. It's not the most recently developed apps and stuff, but it works, and everything's configured already. And so that's the kind of process that we really need on Android, but it is there on Linux. So if we get an ARM version of SteamOS and they're able to get that running on their end too, that'll be the way to go.
Yeah, so I'm essentially trying to play this as if I had no idea what I was doing. And then I'm just going to wipe and start fresh once your guide comes out, and then I'll roast you on the podcasts, because I know people
little
love
things I missed.
Yeah, me roasting you on this podcast. I will say one of the weird things is that I loaded up a GameCube game, and then they whatever default overlay. I'm just going to load one in. So it does use Dolphin Handheld, and then it defaults to the aspect ratio. I go into quick settings, and the internal resolution, it defaults to 0.5.
Right. From the old days, like when we actually had to do sub-scaling, and that's why they have that in there. It really shouldn't be there as an option at all.
Yeah, and I'm like, why does this look so bad?
That used to be all we could do. It's like, hey, you want to play GameCube, you want to play Wind Waker, sure. It's going to be terrible, but use this app and then use those settings, and that's what they have that set up for. So that way they could say, oh yeah, I can play some GameCube too. Nowadays, we're way past that. So yeah,
it's weird. I mean, how many hoops would you go through, Marisa, to have it get set up, or do you just watch Russ's video and then you're done?
No, every time I've gotten an Android, I now say no when they say, "Do you want to test this handheld?" It's Android. I say no. I don't want to. The only thing is, I did keep the RG Cube, and I deleted everything off of it. Except I installed the Pico 8 APK that someone recently made a few months ago. So I just turn it on, I launch Pico 8, and I play Pico 8.
Well, hey, it's a single-use handheld like you've talked about.
Exactly. Yeah. I think the RG Rotate would be fun for Pico 8 as well.
Oh, yeah. It's on my homepage. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. But both of those are that's a lot of money just to play Pico 8.
Yeah.
True. I mean, I will say, like, a software experience aside, like the hardware, I mean, it is Retroid. It is thumbs up. It is awesome. The screen to be expected. Like, I'm not seeing any weird subpixel thing, but also I feel like I'm not really like sensitive to that anyway.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it depends. Ooh, sorry, it's very loud. THX. That's how it's meant to be played. So like I haven't messed around with it enough to have like more thoughts, but initially I'm just like, yeah, this feels like a Retroid device. It feels really good. The one thing that I immediately did and was glad that I was that I switched out to the bump back. Like, man, this feels so much better in my hand than the flat back. Where are you at with it, Russ?
Yeah, I mean, I still have the bumpy back on my black one too. I don't like it. Like, I get it. I think it's comfortable if you're just going to be using the D-pad and the face buttons, like playing those games. But as soon as you start to shift your hand around, the bumps kind of like, hey, no, stay where you're supposed to be, you know. And so I like having that flat back where I can kind of maneuver really easily. So yeah, I'm going all flat for me.
That's weird because I feel like my hands kind of shift down, like essentially the bumps are here in my ring finger when I'm playing something on the D-pad, but then it shifts down to the middle finger when I play something on the sticks. So I just kind of shift my hands that way. But,
I think it really just goes to show that it's cool that they gave the option. You know what I mean? The ability to really customize that is just very thoughtful, because otherwise it would just been a bunch of people arguing and buying extra grips and all that other stuff. So
yeah, well, they will sell you extra grips too. Yeah. So anyway, the other one that I've been playing with is the RG SP, and man, yeah, like this literally is just like a Game Boy Advance SP. Like I've one of my favorite Advance Wars on here, and I'm just like, dang, this is awesome. This is exactly what I wanted out of like a device to just feel like it is the actual device itself. I mean, like there are a couple things that are a little weird. Like I don't know, the mapping on some of the stuff is a little weird. The overlays just are very simplistic. Like I have the stock OS, but it's like when you bring up the overlay, it's just text on a black background.
Yeah.
Like, you know, nothing fancy.
Not inspiring. No.
Not inspiring at all. You know, which is fine. I mean, I guess it gets the job done. But like it feels like it could use a little bit more fit and finish software wise. But for software, you had pointed me, because I asked you like what I should throw on there, and you had pointed me to, what is this, Next UI? Yeah. So I haven't put that on here, but why did you pick this one?
So Next UI is like a fork of MinUI, which is a minimalist text-based one, and Next UI is currently only for like the TrimUI brick handhelds, but they're working on one for the RG XX devices, including the RG SP. And so they've already got a build, and so that's the one I sent over to you. What I like about it is that much like with MinUI, you just put the OS on a card, and then you put the card in the second slot, not in the primary one. So you keep your stock operating system, all those games and stuff, you don't mess with it. It just goes on top of it and just kind of redirects everything and says, hey, instead of going into stock, go into mine. And so it's not destructive, basically. You can take that card out and go right back to stock, which is nice. So I like that aspect of it too, and it's just very simple and then pre-configured too. So it's like when you start up a game, it's just simple. They've got everything set up for you, much more pleasing to the eye, much more snappy in terms of just the speed that you can navigate through and stuff like that. And so I think that's just a good fit for something like a GBA SP, where it's just like super simple. You just want to jump in, get to your game, start playing, and have sleep working and all that other kind of stuff. And so that's why I recommended it.
Okay, yeah. So I want to load it up. I haven't got around to, and I've barely played it, like I said. But for the most part, I'm loving it. Like it really is what I wanted. Like the only downside that I've come across really is that it does get a little toasty.
It does.
Like underneath your hand, like it warms up a little bit, and it's not hot at all. Like it's not uncomfortable. But the analogy I'm going to use is like when you go to sit down on a toilet and the toilet seat is warm, and you're like, this is a little weird.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know about you guys,
like
but
when they have the heated ones. Oh,
yeah, like it just feels like
just sitting here.
Somebody else just sat there, and it just feels a little warm. Like, did somebody just play this? Did somebody just pick up my handheld and start playing this? Because it just feels a little warm too. Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, that feels a little weird.
Yeah.
But it's also wouldn't stop me from buying it. But also maybe I'm just like so used to the Game Boy Advance SP. Like that thing does not warm up at all. Like it's just like, oh, okay, it's always cool to the touch. Like I feel like devices back in the day, they were so efficient and stuff. Like you didn't have to worry about it. But now we've got all the power we want in our fingertips. So
yeah, one nice thing about Next UI is you can actually set a CPU governor to make it lower. So you might be able to get away. If you're just me playing GBA on it, just set it to the low profile mode, and then that should be good. I have found, though, that like increasing brightness on the screen will make the rest of the device warmer, too. And so there's no win-win there, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know. Play around with it.
Also, I totally forgot about the charging issue. And I went to go plug it in to my USB-C, like two different options. I was like, why is this thing not charging? Oh, man. But I did find... The Steam Deck, the Steam Deck power brick works with it.
Whoa, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I was just like, you know what, I have it right here because it's like my quick little go-to, and like I was able to charge it. Perfect. So if you have a Steam
Valve
Deck,
does nothing and wins. Look at that.
You're right. Oh man. Another one that I've been messing around with very very quickly, not a ton of time, is RG Rotate. Like it's a handheld I really want to love, but I haven't quite found like my love for it. You did have me put, or you didn't have me put, but I asked you like, hey, what should I put on here because I don't like the fact that it's running Android. What's something that I can put on here that is going to help with that? And you recommended Cannoli, which I love cannolis. They taste amazing. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this on here. And actually, I really do like Cannoli. But it's not an operating system. It's just
launcher.
An
app, but it's a self-contained emulator app. So it does the same. It actually kind of does the thing you want on Android, where it includes RetroArch and its cores that you need, and it pre-configures them for you. So it's just a single download. Yes, you got to drag and drop your ROMs, which they actually have a built-in web server, so you can do it from your computer, which is really handy. And that's it. And then you just start playing your games. All text-based, very simple. But I think that's. I don't know, one of those things with the Rotate, it's just a good fit, I think. And so that's one of the reasons why I recommended it. I mean, there are many flashy ways to play Android and stuff, but I think with the Rotate, it's really just a matter of like a simple, aesthetically pleasing kind of experience.
Yeah, because I was definitely like grabbing my ROMs and being like, okay, well, what kind of devices do I want to play on here? And yeah, not really anything past GBA. You know, and the square aspect ratio is also like, oh, okay, well, Game Boy Pocket Color, would be cool. The thing I was worried about was the whole rotating to open thing. Like, is it going to be something that's going to be hard to, I don't know, like, because it does have a power button, and I, like, instinctively, like on the Nova, I want to hit the power button, but then I'm like, oh no, I can just rotate it, and it does go to the little clock kind of thing. Yeah. So.
One trick for that is you can go in, if you're just on the regular like Google or Android homepage, if you just like long press and then change wallpaper and change it to something else, and then you can also change your clock styles in the settings. So you can make your own wallpaper, like your own background, and then also you can have like different clock styles. So if you look at mine, for example, so that's my wallpaper right there, and then I've added like this cool little clock. And so to me, it's like a nice little personal touch. And then when I open it up, it's got the... like that's my homepage, so that's the wallpaper basically. And so yeah, there's a lot of fun customization you can do with it.
So
that
Marisa,
feels like it's just the cover screen function on a Galaxy or a Motorola.
Right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And remind me real quick. I know you kind of mentioned earlier, but like what appeals? What about the Rotate appeals to you?
Well, we initially, like in my Discord when it was announced, thought it was going to be smaller. And we were like, oh, it'd be cool to use it as a music player. And then it doesn't have the 3.5 millimeter jack. Yeah. Obviously, it doesn't have a 4.4, a balanced jack either. But I was like, nah, I think it would be fun for Pico 8. Just delete everything. Just put Pico 8.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, like the the controls are a little cramped, and it is weird that I'm testing both the RGSP at the same time as this, because I think that's right now that's kind of my like touchstone is how does it compare and contrast between the two. And I feel like you're definitely losing a little bit compared to these. Like this the RG Rotate is a little bit more stiffer. Like I feel like the buttons are a little bit more harsh on the edges. Like it's not detrimental, but like I prefer the SP. Like that just feels more natural to me. Anyway, and then my old school train, the Wonderswan Color continues to be just a big fan of that. I know you're a fan of that too, Marisa. You did a mod on your channel, right?
Yeah, I don't know what games to play on it though, except for Mr. Driller.
Yeah, that is the weird thing because
hardly any are localized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I actually did find a lot of guides both on YouTube and like Reddit and stuff of games that you can play with very little like worrying about reading stuff. So like I've been able to find some cool games. Like probably my favorite one that I've been playing is God, I always forget the name. Judgment Silver Sword.
Oh yeah,
the vertical one.
The competition winner. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like you don't need to read anything for that one. Like, and actually most of it is in English, like menus and stuff like that. So, like there are some around there, and that's the weird part where it's falling down for me. Like the Neo Geo Pocket Color, like I like the hardware and it feels awesome, but like the games, I've just been like discovering amazing games left and right. The Wonderswan Color, it's like I love the hardware, but the games, like I'm playing the games, and I'm like, it's a little bit more simplistic, a little bit more Game Boy, you know, kind of air-ish. Like I don't know, it's weird. I haven't dug in too deep. Steve Lynn, my dealer, did give me a Flashmaster cart as well, and he already had 10 games loaded on there. So I've just been going through the ones he loaded on there, but I have a list of ones I want to swap out for it.
Yeah, I've got one. I picked it up a couple of years ago when I was in Japan. Actually,
you just have like a basket or something. You just have like, everything.
Yeah, my table. I prep. I'm like, all right, what are we going to talk about today? And I got them all hanging out. So yeah, I've got.
You should see his basket of SD cards. You literally have a basket of SD cards.
I do have an SD card basket. Yeah, but anyway, so this one actually was kind of neat. So I went to Japan and I was meeting up with a couple other YouTubers, and one of them, her name is ETland XOXO, and she like knows English really well and also Japanese, and so we were gonna meet up. She was gonna like kind of be our interpreter, and we were gonna go to all these old retro game stores basically, and I was like talking, she's like, oh, is there anything you want? And I was like, well, I'm definitely in the market to get a Wonderswan Color. And she goes, oh, you mean one of these? And she pulled it out and she's like, I actually already got it for you because I saw a good deal. And so she like just gave this to me, which is really awesome. Aww. You know. But then I spent the day like buying games, you know, and so I don't have a flash card. I've just got like old, you know, Japanese games. Like here's Final Fantasy and stuff. Yeah, not a word of English in this thing. And so it's like really cool. Like open up, like, hey, look at that, and like, oh man, I can't play this. And so I just need to sit down one day and learn the entire Japanese language. That'd be fine, you know. So I'm just not there yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, short of that, like, there's a surprising number of fan patch like English mods to be able to read it. Like one of them, one of the games I really want to play is the Final Fantasy Legend, like the Wonderswan version of it, because it's like one of the only other ways to play that game, and I played that back on the GB or the Game Boy, and so yeah, I'm excited about that one, and it does have a fan mod or patch, whatever, English translation. And like that makes more sense with like a flash cart like this rather than having the actual cartridge. And I just found out recently there's people who actually will sell the cart with the English translation on it. So it's a reproduction card. Wow. It's not a real card.
That'd be so handy though. Yeah.
Yeah, but they are expensive. The ones I've seen that too. Yeah. So do you have any actual physical games for your Wonderswan, Marisa?
I got there's like a crow puzzle game that I got. And
yeah.
then I got a repro of Mr. Driller from AliExpress, which, and that's it because it's a very like, it was very home to a lot of anime games.
Right.
And like, it's like I would be interested in fan translations of them if I was interested in the anime, but I'm not. So it's slim pickings. But yeah, the hardware is so nice. I was really excited about the Nile Swan because it was going to be like an open source flash cart. But then he launched it recently and it was, I think, like basically just as expensive as the Flashmaster. So I don't know I was a little sad.
Yeah, I mean, like, but the thing is, I love the hardware. Like, it just, it feels, I mean, Japan does Y2K really good. Like, like, I just feel cool. Like, it elevates my coolness just by having it on my person. So I love the feel of it. I mean, except for the whole weird charger thing. I remember when I discovered a couple days ago, I was like, oh yeah, I got these new headphones in from the Retro Monk guy or whatever. And I was just like, oh, I'll plug in the headphone jack. Wait,
Right.
there's no headphone jack? What? Also, there's a lock button or lock toggle. Why would I want to this locks the battery thing in. Okay, that's weird. And then I was like, oh, I got to change the battery. Oh, the battery's in the little pouch thing. Like, I don't know, so many things to discover hardware wise, and especially being able to like play a game and like just change it vertically, and it feels right. It doesn't feel like a gimmick at all.
Yeah.
I love it. But but then there's a downside. Like there's only 3 levels of audio settings for the speaker,
Right?
And I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, one's a little too loud, one's a little too quiet. That's a little weird.
Goldilocks.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Also, the IPS mod that's in here, I don't know the exact one. I guess I could probably ask Steve, but it's one of the earlier ones that doesn't have a pixel grid. And I'm somebody who likes to play with pixel grids, so I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to go ahead and probably maybe swap this IPS screen out for a newer one because I want more options for like lighting and for pixel grid stuff. But Marisa, are you a pixel grid or do you like to have just the raw image?
I've become fond of the in-between because they come now with like pixel grid and then scan lines and then clean. And I tend to like the scan lines.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's fun. I want to load some more games on here and talk about it maybe next week. But yeah, like, yeah, I don't know. I love this thing. This is it feels like I've been on such a journey of discovering these new handhelds.
Yeah. Let me know what you do with this screen because mine's not backlit at all. It's still OG.
Oh, at all?
I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
So
wait, do you have a crystal or no?
I don't know. I got this one. I mean, it's like
it's not
color,
the crystal. Yeah,
I don't have a battery in it right now. So
that was the third piece of hardware. Was the original Wonderswan, then the Wonderswan Color, then the crystal.
Gotcha.
And the crystal, like I've heard debates back and forth online that the screen on that one is not backlight or it doesn't have any sort of lighting, but it does have a sharpness to it that people really appreciate, and like they have a hard time like modding that one out. But yeah.
It's an easy swap, the screen, but it's not laminated, so you just have to be wary of dust.
Gotcha.
Yeah, which is super fun. But yeah, so that's all the stuff that's in my pocket that I want to get into right now. Yeah, and so I think now is a good place to wrap it up. We've been going for a while. I appreciate it, Marisa. It's probably late for you. Maybe you can go get some cannoli. I'm sure there's a good place around the corner.
I'll call my cannoli guy.
Yeah, you got a guy,
Yeah.
Well, listen, I enjoyed having you here. Thank you so much for chatting with us. Where can people find you? Where do you want people to find you? Do you want people to find you? Maybe it's a better question.
Do not look for me. Do not follow me. Do not find me. I'm on YouTube, Your Cool Uncle Marisa. I've been streaming on Twitch, like in a fundraising effort for my cat's bills. And that's
Marcel.
also Your Cool Uncle Marisa. And then on Instagram, I'm Marisa Moreau. And someone DM'd me not too long ago being like, why don't you post Game Boy stuff on your Instagram? So if you want that, that's not there. It's just my life. and
And cat
then
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, cat stuff, acting stuff, and yeah, and then Blue Sky, it's /MarissaMoreau.com.
Yeah, no, I recently joined your Discord, and yeah,
Oh
there's
yeah,
some really nice
there's a
people over
Discord.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that. I love finding communities that are very accepting and just chill and all about good vibes. Like you're in there a lot too, chatting with people.
You're
Or
like, you have no life. You're always on.
no, it's like there's some people I know who just like are constantly in a ton of discords and like just like really active, and I'm like, I can only really have my brain in one,
Yeah.
but like I've been enjoying your Discord enough that I've been in there like poking around, and it's not overwhelming either. That's the other hard part, is that there's a lot of Discords I love, but I just go in there and I'm like, the world has passed me by in this one. I don't know what they're talking about. I can't just jump into a conversation. But yours is still like chill enough that I can. I feel like I'm caught up.
It's small enough, and it's a lot more like community oriented as opposed to resources, because I'm not smart enough to make my own stuff. So no one's in there asking me for like instructions or anything. It's just people being like, look at my cat. But we played Big Walk on Friday. So if anyone ever wants to hop in and play Big Walk, very, very into it. I feel like Panic Publishing is just not, they have no duds, it feels like.
Yeah, hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Well, can you give us a little bit of a sneak peek? Do you have, other than the XTEink Pro 4 or whatever, any other videos you're working on that people can look forward to?
Yeah, I recorded 2 videos today actually, and one of them is finally on the new rolls off the tongue, half transmission, half reflective Game Boy Color screen from Cloud Game Store, which is a screen that it mimics the original screen in that you can just turn off the light, but it's much bigger. But it also does have a backlight option, and a lot of people, especially people who grew up with the Game Boy Color, have been really excited about it and have really been enjoying it. So install video / my thoughts that are biased. And then I finally got around to, after everyone else put theirs out, reviewing the Mini Loong Pocket 1. Yeah, so those are probably going to be the next 2.
Okay, nice. Sweet. I'll look forward to it.
There are not enough Mini Loong videos, so I'm looking forward to that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Russ, you put up a follow-up one.
Yeah, just last week.
Like, hey, it just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, the new Leaf software is just so good on it, and so yeah, awesome.
Well,
See,
Russ,
that's smart to like do follow-ups. I instead was just like, I feel like it could get better, so I just left it for like
just wait
several months.
Smart, not smart.
I mean, that's the thing, is that like, especially in our industry, and like we're trying to cover new stuff, and you know, it's always excited to do that. Like, a lot of people don't buy brand new. Like, a lot of people wait, and I kind of, I feel like that is definitely the way to go. If I was not in this industry, I would probably just be buying stuff 6 to 12 months later.
Right.
Games, same thing. You know, usually it's patched out. You get a better deal. Anyway, Russ, other than your Retroid Pocket Nova setup guide, which is coming tomorrow, is that what you said?
Well, it's my next video. Yeah, I mean, based on, it'll be out, oh gosh, I don't want to give a date. Maybe Friday. We'll see.
No, come on, Russ, you have to commit.
I never meet the deadlines that I self-impose for myself on this show. So no, I'm not going to give a date, but probably Friday. But then also Sunday, an embargo lifts for the new 8BitDo X3 controller, or an X3 Pro, what do they call it? Ultimate 3. So it's like their new line of like Xbox style controller. It's ones they've been teasing it forever since CES, but I've had it for like a month at this point too. But I finally get to make a video on it, which is great. It's an Xbox controller in that it works with the Xbox, but you could also use it as a PC controller, and it's great. Really good feeling. It's got the ability to customize the face buttons to be either clicky or to be membrane. Same thing with the D-pad. You can change it out to be shield or cross style, and it's miles better than the previous ones, and I've always liked their other ones too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I shouldn't probably be talking about it, but anyway, embargo goes up on Sunday.
It's okay. Nobody's watching this.
Yeah, we're all violating embargo.
Yeah, left and right. Okay, well, hey, listen, this was an awesome adventure that we went on. This expedition was a really good one. At 25, we're a quarter of the way down 100 episodes. So, yeah. Marisa, and also you're our second guest where both Russ and I have been on. So yeah. That's a medal that I'm going to ship you in the mail.
This
was so fun. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Marisa. Yes. This was great.
Yeah, but rest up, recharge all your devices because we're going to be going on another expedition next week. And until then, yeah, you got to be prepared. Be prepared. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone.